Tomorrow is National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. So with the troubled past in Canadian history, these can make for some difficult conversations, but are important to have with our kids. So that's why we have our parenting panel here to discuss with Julie Cole, parenting author and mom of 6 and a co-founder of Mabel's Labels, as well as WhiteEagle, a community leader, Indigenous elder, and both a mom and grandma. And this is your debut on Morning Live. We are so excited to have you here this morning. How are you, WhiteEagle?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Great. Well, you look wonderful. It looks like a wonderful day tomorrow, the weather-wise. What are your plans for tomorrow? What are you doing?
So tomorrow we are going to do a walk, and we're going to do a tobacco ceremony. Shout out to Amber Kakiishiway. Yeah. Ethan O'Grady.
Amazing.
And they're all meeting down. Where are you meeting? At 3 o'clock?
We're meeting at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Yep.
Right.
2 o'clock down at Spencer Smith Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there'll be 2 separate locations, so it doesn't matter which one you go to. Like, you come and look for me, and that's where we'll start.
Can anybody come?
Anybody can come.
Okay.
Everybody can come.
WhiteEagle is very much always encourages allies to turn up and learn, because that's what this is all about, right? And you always say, I know I bring my children to a lot of events, and you've always welcomed them and been kind and taught them.
Yep.
And I think that's a really important piece.
Well, because it's on a Saturday. This is the first time it's on weekend, right?
Right.
So the kids. So my kids today went to school in their orange shirts or their piece of orange that they would wear, and I'm interested to see what they learned from school today.
Right.
Because is that what we should be doing? Asking what they're learning? And
so it's really important that it's age appropriate, because both of my parents were in the Mush Hole, which is now called the Woodland Cultural Center, and because what my parents went through was very tragic, and so it has to be age appropriate. I think most adults wouldn't be able to handle the truth, the full truth, but we need to get it out there. It's vitally important that people know, so that we don't repeat this ever again. And as a healer, it's so much important.
Yeah, so like you say, just tell them the truth and speak in terms that are age appropriate. And I know you'll have these conversations when your kids come home, but the one thing I find interesting too is that I know sometimes children will say, well, that happened to her grandma or her great grandma and not her. So why is that impact? So I think talking about generational trauma is so important, because you've said how has your parents, having been survivors, impacted you and your children even, and grandchildren?
So I am a 60s scoop survivor. And I was in there for about 18 years. And the Children's Aid, when I turned 18, they're like, okay, there you go. Out you go with your garbage bags of clothes. And I was on the streets for many years, okay? So my children, yes, they have suffered, unfortunately. But at the same time, I'm in a place in my life where I can help them through all of that, right? Because I've done a fair amount of healing. And so I can be grateful for the elders that were there in my lifetime, right? And just people in general, right? The biggest thing for me right now are my allies. And Julie is one of my biggest allies, and she's been there from the time that I've met her, which was a couple of years now, right?
A few years now.
Can anybody be your ally? Can
anybody can be my ally.
I think you should make Tim audition.
Right?
How do we become an ally of WhiteEagle?
But it's true.
You have to have a good sense of humor.
Yeah, we know that, because you definitely do.
But you know, you've got small children, she's got small grandchildren, and I think, what we want to do also is raise young allies, right? So are we reading them the books? Are we buying from Indigenous businesses? When we buy our orange shirts, are we making sure that the profits are going to places like that are
Woodlands?
Exactly. So we have to make sure we're taking our children to these events. We're having these conversations. We're watching. There's videos. There's podcasts. There's so much learning that can be done. And as WhiteEagle says, we start at an early age, and we do it in an age-appropriate way, because it is a horrifying past, and especially for somebody like you who has lived through it and lived the generational trauma and have to try and coach and heal your children through it as well.
So what I'm about is that we have all been invaded now. Every single species on this planet has been invaded now. So now we are in a time of healing and reconciling those differences, right? As humanity, like for all of us, right?
We appreciate you being here and sharing
you.
and sharing your stories and
Thank you.
and enjoy tomorrow because
Yes,
and,
we
and,
will.
and celebrate tomorrow and remember tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
And, so
And there's all the information.
There it is. So
Yep.
Spencer Smith Park from 2 to 5. Wear your orange shirts and become an ally
Yeah.
of White Eagle.
Go to
Yes.
White Eagle, you saw her here.
Right on. Thank you.